A single mom walked into robbers at home. When she saw their faces, what she discovered will shock you. The night air was thick with the scent of summer, grassy lawns, barbecues, and the faint tang of fireworks drifting from the town party. Most of the neighbors had gone, leaving quiet streets lined with empty porches and dimly lit windows. Inside her modest little house, Emma Carter, a young single mother, was folding laundry, humming softly to herself. Her daughter, Lily, was asleep upstairs. A sudden creak from the back door froze her midfold. "Hello?" Emma called out, her voice trembling slightly. Silence answered. Then another louder step, deliberate and heavy. Her heart raced. 3 men emerged from the shadows of her living room. Masks off. Faces familiar. "Emma?" one of them sneered. "Surprised to see us?" Her breath caught. Recognition hit her like a punch. "Jared? Mike? Tony? You live down the street," she stammered, stepping back. What are you doing here?" Jared's eyes hardened. "You shouldn't have come home, Emma. We can't have witnesses." Emma's pulse hammered. I didn't know anyone was. I thought you were at the party." Tony reached toward her, a knife glinting under the weak light of the kitchen lamp. "It's simple. One move, and—" But Mike shook his head, stepping between Emma and Tony. "Wait, no. This isn't right. She's just a kid's mom, man. We can't." A tense silence hung in the room. The air felt electric, like a storm about to break. Tony's jaw tightened. "Mike, step aside. We can't take chances. She's seen us." Emma's hands shook as she clutched a frying pan from the counter. "Please, just don't hurt me," she pleaded, her voice breaking. Mike's face softened for a split second, his voice low, urgent. "I said no, Tony. We don't have to do this. She doesn't deserve this." Jared snorted. "You're soft, man. We're not backing down now. She knows too much." The argument escalated, voices rising, fists clenching. Emma's mind raced, her daughter upstairs, the neighbors outside unaware, the night that had seemed safe only minutes ago now a cage of terror. Every second felt like an eternity. And then, just as Tony lunged forward, Emma realized she had to act. Emma's heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst through her chest. She gripped the frying pan tighter, her knuckles white. "I'm not scared of you," she yelled, her voice shaking but loud enough to echo in the empty house. Tony froze, momentarily thrown by her defiance. "You're crazy," he spat, advancing anyway. "Tony, stop!" Mike shouted, stepping forward again. "Back off. She's just a mom." Jared's face twisted in frustration. "Mike, are you seriously defending her? We have to." "I said no." Mike barked, swinging his arm to block Tony. "We're not murderers." Emma seized the moment. She swung the frying pan with all her strength at the nearest lamp on the counter. It shattered with a crash, shards scattering across the floor. Sparks of electricity from the damaged bulb lit the kitchen in flickering bursts. "What the—" Tony hissed, stumbling backward. Emma darted toward the hallway. "Lily! Stay in your room," she shouted. Her voice was trembling, but there was steel behind it now. Jared growled, moving to intercept her. "She's not getting away." Mike planted himself firmly between Emma and the others. "Not tonight. She leaves, we walk. End of story." Tony's hands shook with anger, his jaw tight. "You're weak, Mike. You'll get us all caught if you don't." "I don't care." Mike yelled, his voice cracking with tension. "Not like this. I'm not killing anyone. Not her. Not like this." Emma skidded into the hallway, heart racing, listening to the men arguing behind her. Each shout, each slammed fist against the wall, echoed like thunder. She could see the faint glow from the streetlights through the front door. Freedom was just a few steps away. But Tony wasn't giving up. He lunged again, and Mike grabbed him, twisting him to the ground. The 2 men grappled violently, Jared's anger rising as he watched the fight. Emma's breath came in sharp, rapid bursts. She crouched low, ready to dash, her mind racing with fear and fury. This was her home. Her life. And she wasn't going to let them take it, not without a fight. Suddenly, a loud crash upstairs made all 3 men freeze. Emma knew Lily had woken. Her mother's instinct surged, stronger than any fear. She had to protect her daughter. Emma's chest heaved as she peeked around the corner. The fight between Mike and Tony had shifted, their shadows flailing across the living room walls. Jared, furious and impatient, kept glancing at the front door. He hadn't noticed the small metal hook at the bottom of the doorframe, the one Emma had installed weeks ago after a break-in scare. She crouched low, sliding her hand to unlatch it. Her pulse thundered in her ears. "Just a little further? Lily! Stay under the bed," she whispered, just loud enough for her daughter to hear. A small, muffled, "Okay, Mommy," answered, and her heart softened for a split second. Tony roared and shoved Mike into the sofa. "You're gonna pay for this." Mike scrambled to his feet, holding Tony back. "We don't have to kill her," he yelled. "This is already messed up enough." Emma gritted her teeth. She could hear Jared moving toward her direction, his heavy boots scraping against the floor. Now or never. She twisted the hook free and pushed the door open quietly. The summer night air hit her face like a slap, hot and electric. She darted out, heart in her throat, the sound of the men's shouts and struggling footsteps behind her. The street was empty, bathed in the golden glow of the streetlights. Her neighbor's porch light flickered, and for a second, she imagined someone might see her, maybe help, but she couldn't wait. "Stop her!" Jared shouted, his voice cracking in anger and panic. Mike yelled, "Jared! Let her go! We walk, now!" Tony's voice followed, laced with rage. "You're weak, Mike! This isn't over!" Emma didn't look back. She ran toward the corner of the street where the shadows of trees offered cover, her hands trembling, sweat and tears mixing on her face. Every step was a mix of fear and relief. She'd seen their faces. She knew their names. But somehow, against the chaos, Mike's hesitation had given her a sliver of chance. Her lungs burned, but she didn't stop. She had to reach Lily. She had to survive. Behind her, the argument between the men boiled over into a violent shout, the sound of fists hitting walls echoing down the quiet street. Emma realized then, with fierce clarity, that the danger wasn't just leaving the house, it was carrying the memory of betrayal, of neighbors she had trusted, forever etched into her life. She ducked behind a fence, listening. The voices faded, bickering and furious, but she didn't dare move yet. Not until she knew she and Lily were safe. Emma pressed her back against the cool wooden fence, trying to steady her breath. The night seemed impossibly quiet now, except for the distant sound of party laughter carried on the wind. She wiped sweat and tears from her face, her hands trembling. "We made it, for now." She peeked over the fence. The street was empty, the men nowhere in sight. But the memory of their faces, Jared, Tony, Mike, stalked her mind like ghosts. She shivered, not just from fear but from betrayal. Neighbors, friends, how could they? "Mommy?" Lily's small voice called from the bedroom window, trembling but awake. Emma ran across the lawn, lifted her daughter into her arms, and hugged her tight. "It's okay, baby. We're okay. Mommy's here," she whispered, rocking her like a fragile bird. Her mind raced. She couldn't just sit here. She needed help. She fumbled for her phone, fingers slick with sweat, dialing 911 as she held Lily close. The operator's calm voice was a lifeline in the chaos. 911, what's your emergency? They tried to, neighbors, my neighbors. 3 men, Jared, Tony, Mike, they broke in. Emma's voice broke. Her words stumbled over each other, grief and adrenaline mixing. "Stay calm, ma'am." "Where are you right now?" the operator asked. Emma gave the address, her mind already spinning with what to do next. She couldn't just wait in the house, they knew where she lived. But she also couldn't leave Lily alone. She glanced around the dark yard. The street was empty. The only sound was the soft whimper of her daughter nestled against her shoulder. In that tense silence, a thought cut through her panic. Mike stopped them, maybe there's hope. Maybe not all of them are monsters. But then the image of Tony's knife flashed in her mind, and the shiver returned. "Help is on the way, ma'am." "Stay on the line," the operator said. Emma nodded, even though Lily couldn't see. She held her daughter tighter, listening for any sound of movement outside. The minutes stretched like hours. Every shadow, every creak of the floor made her heart jump. And yet, amid the terror, Emma felt something stir inside her, a fierce determination. She wouldn't let fear control her. She wouldn't let betrayal break her. When the distant wail of sirens finally pierced the night, Emma felt her knees weaken with relief. Help was coming. The nightmare wasn't over yet, but she had survived the first wave. And somehow, she knew, she would fight for her daughter, for her home, for her life, no matter what. The wail of sirens grew louder, echoing off the quiet houses of the street. Emma clutched Lily tightly as flashing red and blue lights spilled across the front yard. Her hands shook, but this time it wasn't just fear, it was relief. "Stay down, ma'am," a voice called. 2 officers stepped onto the lawn, their guns drawn, scanning the house. Emma nodded, pointing toward the open front door. They were in there. 3 men, my neighbors. Jared, Tony, Mike. The officers exchanged glances. "Everyone's okay?" one asked. Emma nodded, voice trembling. "We're fine. My daughter," she pulled Lily close. "They didn't, thank God, they didn't hurt her." Suddenly, from across the street, movement caught Emma's eye. Mike. He was pacing near a tree, hands raised slightly, sweat glistening on his forehead. His face was pale, guilt and fear warring in his eyes. "Mike?" Emma's voice cracked. You didn't." He froze, then took a careful step forward. "Emma? I didn't want this. I tried to stop them. I couldn't. I mean," his words faltered, and he looked down at the ground, ashamed. Jared and Tony were nowhere to be seen, but their presence lingered like a dark shadow over the night. One officer grabbed his radio. "All units, suspects are still at large. Be on the lookout for 3 males, masks removed, armed." Emma felt a surge of anger and betrayal. Her neighbors, the people she had waved to every morning, whose kids played with Lily, whose barbecues she had attended, these were the people trying to kill her. "Why?" she whispered, almost to herself, voice breaking. Why would you do this?" Mike flinched. "It wasn't supposed to go this far. I thought I could stop them. I tried, Emma, I really tried." But his voice broke completely, and for a moment, Emma saw the human fear in him, fear she could understand all too well. The officers began taking statements, asking for details, trying to piece together the night's events. Emma gave them every detail, her hands still shaking, her mind replaying the horror. And yet, amid the chaos and fear, a strange clarity settled over her. She knew she had survived. She had protected her daughter. She had witnessed courage, betrayal, and fear, all tangled together in a night she would never forget. Her life had changed forever. The house, once her sanctuary, now felt like a place where shadows lingered, where trust had been broken in the worst possible way. But Emma Carter was not the type to cower. She would fight. She would heal. And she would make sure that no one, ever threatened her or Lily again. The next morning, the quiet of the neighborhood felt different, sharper, almost dangerous. News vans lined the street, reporters asking questions that Emma barely had the energy to answer. Her mailbox overflowed with letters from neighbors, some offering support, others whispering judgment and fear. The whole town had heard what had happened. Emma sat at her kitchen table, Lily beside her, coloring with crayons she had salvaged from a bin the night before. Her hands still trembled slightly, and every sound outside made her glance toward the window. A knock came at the door. Emma froze, her heart hammering. "Who is it?" she called. "It's me. Mike," came the low voice from the other side. Emma's stomach twisted. She took a deep breath, then opened the door cautiously. Mike stood there, looking exhausted and guilty, his eyes avoiding hers at first. I just wanted to make sure you're okay," he said quietly. He stopped, swallowing hard. "I know I can't undo what happened." Emma's jaw tightened. "You didn't stop them enough," she said, voice trembling with anger and hurt. "You could have tried harder, Mike. You knew them. You could have protected us better." Mike flinched, guilt written across his face. "I know. I failed. I thought I could stop Tony and Jared, but they were too far gone. I couldn't," his voice cracked, raw and human. Emma looked away, her fingers tightening on the edge of the doorframe. "Do you know what it's like to see your neighbors, people you trust, try to kill you?" Her voice was low, trembling with rage and fear. "Do you know what it's like to see them right there, and you can't even protect your kid?" Mike hung his head. I can't imagine. And I'm sorry. I really am. I don't expect forgiveness. I had to try to do something." Emma's eyes softened slightly, but only a fraction. She could see he had risked himself at the last moment, stepping in to stop Tony. Still, the betrayal cut deep, and the memory of the night lingered like a dark cloud. "I don't know if I can trust anyone anymore," she said quietly, her voice almost breaking. "Even the people who claim to be on your side, sometimes it's too late." Mike nodded solemnly. "I understand. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure you and Lily are safe. I'll turn myself in if it helps, whatever you need." Emma glanced down at Lily, coloring obliviously, and felt a flicker of determination. "Right now," she said, voice steadier, "we survive. We protect each other. The rest, we figure out later." Mike nodded again, relief and guilt fighting across his face. Outside, the street was slowly waking. Neighbors peeked from windows, whispers carrying through the air. Emma knew the town would never look the same, and neither would she. But for the first time since last night, she felt a spark of control. She would rebuild, and she would survive. And deep inside, she realized, survival wasn't just about getting through the night. It was about facing betrayal, standing up to fear, and protecting what mattered most, her daughter, and herself. Weeks passed, and the neighborhood slowly returned to its quiet rhythm, but the memory of that night lingered like a shadow over Emma's home. Jared and Tony were caught by the police after a high-speed chase, thanks to tips from neighbors who had seen them fleeing. The court hearings were tense. Emma sat in the front row, Lily beside her, her heart pounding every time the defendants looked her way. Mike testified, telling the truth about how he had tried to stop the attack. His honesty helped Emma and the authorities piece together the terrifying sequence of events. The jury listened, and by the end of the trial, justice had been served. Jared and Tony were sentenced, and Mike faced consequences, but with a chance to rebuild his life, he had risked himself to protect hers. After the trial, Emma walked home with Lily, holding her hand tightly. The summer evening felt warm and calm, almost healing. She paused at the front door, looking around at the street she had once thought safe. The betrayal had changed her, but it had also awakened something inside her, a courage she hadn't known she had. "Mommy," Lily said, tugging at her hand, "can we play outside now?" Emma smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Yes, baby. We can play outside. And this time, we'll do it knowing we're safe." As she watched her daughter run toward the swings in their front yard, Emma felt a wave of relief and determination wash over her. She had survived terror, faced betrayal, and protected her daughter. And in that moment, she realized she would never let fear rule her life again. The streetlights flickered on, bathing the quiet neighborhood in a soft glow. Emma stepped back into her house, closing the door firmly behind her. This was their home. Their life. And nothing, not fear, not betrayal, could take that away. Emma Carter had survived. And now, she was ready to live.